Welcome to Sacred Money Archetypes Module 2, Create Your Conscious Money Compass. This is video number 3. It's an exercise called Delivering the I Am Money Visualization. In this video, I'm going to unpack the visualization for you and walk you through special secrets to delivering the visualization powerfully with heart and meaning. I'll also share with you tips on delivering this visualization one-on-one and in a group or workshop setting. Let's get started. So go ahead and print out the I Am Money visualization script so you can reference it as I walk you through discovering the special coaching secrets that make this exercise so incredibly powerful. Now, the visualization is actually a series of different sections, which are number 1, setting up the visualization, number 2, getting grounded, number 3, imagining money, number 4, becoming money, number 5, asking the visualization questions, and number 6, closing. Let me walk you through these one by one and share with you exactly how to make this flow easily for you and powerfully for your client. Number 1, setting up the visualization. This is where you're directing your client to get themselves into a physical space that will work for the visualization. The key is to ask them to grab a notepad and a pen or pencil ahead of time. This is so they're not interrupted during their process. This is also where I let them know that I'll be asking them special questions, and I let them know whether I'm going to scribe their answers for them or whether they'll write the answers down for themselves. Now, here's a coaching tip on this. When delivering the visualization one-on-one, you can either have the client say their answers and you scribe for them, or you can ask them to write the answers themselves. Either way works great, so it's really up to you and your preference. Typically, I ask them to write them for themselves because they'll often write more than they'll say if they were speaking the answers out loud to me. Now, when delivering to a group or in a workshop setting, I ask them to scribe their answers themselves, obviously. Okay, back to setting up the visualization. The one important piece to really get right is making certain your client is in a space where they can step forward about 3 feet. I've given you the language on what to say to do this. Now, here's what's key about this. Always ask your client to tell you where they're standing, what they're looking at, and check in with them that they have a clear space in front of them. So no furniture, no paper piles, or anything else. Number 2 is getting grounded. This is the first part of the visualization where you ask them to close their eyes and take a deep breath in. What follows in the visualization script is what you want to say to have your client really tune into you and your voice and to their own experience. Your intention is to create a feeling of focus and intimacy and that they have all the time in the world. This is why the script guides you to ask them to inhale and exhale several times as you guide them as to where to focus and what to think about. The coaching tip is to use your voice to set the tone and mood of this experience. This is where you want to soften your voice and slow down your speech, like you heard me model for you in the previous video where I led you through the visualization. What I find helps is if I stand up just like I'm asking my client to stand, and that I breathe in deeply and exhale just like I'm asking them to do. Even when leading a client through this visualization on the phone, they'll feel the shift in your breathing and in your energy, and this will help them tremendously in tuning out the rest of the world and focusing exclusively on you and this exercise. Third section is imagining money. So next is the section where you're asking them to actively imagine money out in front of them. What's important here is that you keep your voice soft, almost dreamy-like, even though you are still being directive in what you're asking them to notice. In the visualization script where you see the ellipses, that's an indicator for you to let your voice stay very soft, as if there is no period yet on that sentence. Now, here's a great coaching tip for you. Instead of looking down at the script and just reading it, hold it out in front of you, and as you're reading it, allow yourself to be in the experience with them. This is going to give a magical quality to your voice and the entire energy of the exercise that is really very special, and it won't sound canned or cookie cutter. Number 4, the next section is becoming money. This is the transition where you direct your client to take a big step forward right into the space of money. Now, this is an unusual thing to ask someone to do, right? So here's what's important to make this work. First, you'll notice in the script that you're telling them what is about to happen before you actually ask them to step forward. This is done purposefully to keep your client in the process and not jolted out of it or to start getting into their head or overthinking. The other piece that's important is on the 1, 2, 3 step forward to make your voice excited and strong. Now this is because you need your client to mentally and physically leave the aspect they were in of observing money and now step powerfully into becoming money. Again, this is an unusual request you're asking of them, so it's important to really mark out that stepping forward with a stronger voice. The coaching tip here is to step forward with them. This makes all the difference in your energy, and I found it tremendously helpful in being able to access my intuition and gain even more insights into what my client may be thinking or feeling. Here's a point to really understand. It's one thing to talk about money in the abstract, but it's an entirely different experience to actually become money. This exercise is so powerful because it's designed to close the gap between who we are and what money is, so that we can discover and create a new understanding and a new relationship with money. Section 5 is asking the visualization questions. Once they're in the space of money, you let them settle for a few seconds, and you're doing that by asking them to take a big breath in and then exhale. You're also doing this by explaining what is about to happen next. Now this is where I remind them that either I will scribe their answers for them or that they'll be writing their answers as I ask each question. Either way, but again, this sets up for them very beautifully to stay focused on you and to stay in the process of the exercise without getting into their head. Now what's critical is to emphasize that in this space, they are money. So don't use their name, as that would take them out of the experience. You'll notice that the questions start with the words "as money." Now while this might look repetitive to you, trust me, for your client, it's going to help them stay in the experience of being money. It won't sound repetitive, and they need to hear it to keep from slipping out and back into their normal self. So trust the exercise as it's written, and you're going to see how beautifully this works. Throughout asking them the questions, keep your voice soft and curious. This is the real secret to having your client open up and discover even more in this process. As they're answering the questions, they're sharing their answers with you verbally and writing them down, so if that's what you've asked them to do. So to start them sharing with you, simply ask, "What's coming to you?" Or you can ask, "What answer is coming up for you?" And then just keep gently reminding them to write it down once they've shared with you. Now here's a crucial coaching tip. When you're working with a client, listen for any signs that they're intellectualizing. You can tell if they're doing this because you'll hear them talk about money instead of being money. For example, if they say, "I wish money would just go away," or "I wish I had more," you can tell they're intellectualizing. They're not being money because they're talking about it in an abstract way. Now, if this happens, the first thing you want to do is stay confident and comfortable. Keep breathing and just repeat, "as money," and ask your question. Stay with the process, because even if someone is in and out of the experience of being money, they're going to have a very strong and impactful experience from this visualization. This exercise is that powerful. If your client starts having a dialogue with you and they are clearly not being money anymore, you can pause the exercise. Just stop them and ask them to step out of the space of being money. Have them say what they need to say, get it all out, give any coaching needed at that moment, and then ask them to step back into the space of being money. You'll want to use your 1, 2, 3 step again to do this. Just know this isn't going to happen very often. I just wanted you to know how to do this, though, just in case. What's key here is that you want to keep the space of being money pure, clean, and distinct. A great coaching tip is that when asking some of the questions, after they give their answer, you can ask, "Is there more?" And this is going to elicit even more from them. You can use this technique with any of the questions, but the question about the story money is telling is a great place to ask if there's more. The last section is number 6, which is the closing. Once you've completed asking each of the questions, it's time to close the visualization process. As you see in the visualization script, this is where you ask your client to finish making their last notes. I pause for a moment, and then I thank them and I direct them to express appreciation for themselves. What comes next is letting them know that on the count of 3, they'll step back to where they were. Now here's the important coaching tip on this. This is where you start to let your voice go back to normal, so you're speaking a little louder, a little more strongly, and definitely faster. I do that as I'm giving them the heads up that they're about to step back. Then I say 1, 2, 3, step back, and I say that with energy, and from there I'm speaking normally. After they step back into the spot where they were before, I let them know they can sit down or do whatever they want. And then I ask them about what they discovered. And at this point, they are usually pretty amazed at how differently they feel. I encourage them to talk to me about that, and I help them deepen what they discovered and learned, and I help them pinpoint insights that they've gained. Okay, so one of the frequently asked questions that we get is how to do this with a group or in a workshop setting. This is an amazingly powerful exercise in any setting, so it would be fantastic for you to bring it to a group or a workshop. To deliver it in that type of setting, everything is the same. Just make sure in the initial setup that everyone has a clear space to step forward. Now I like to have soft music, instrumental only, so no lyrics, playing softly in the background and to dim the lights a bit. This isn't necessary, but it does create a really nice ambiance and a sense of privacy for each individual, at the same time as creating intimacy with the group as a whole. In a group or a workshop environment, you can ask for people to share what is one thing they learned that surprised them the most. Another frequently asked question we get is how to deliver this in person in a private VIP day. Now again, everything is the same except you have more control over the setup since you're in the physical space. I like to stand next to and slightly behind my client as we start. I keep a couple of feet away so they can have their own experience and not have to think about my energy. I hold my visualization script in my hand, it's okay that they see that, and I hold it up a bit, so as I'm reading it, I'm looking up as much as possible. When I ask them to step forward, I step forward with them. Again, I'm staying off to the side and a little behind them. I take a big enough step to maintain our relationship and connection, but I don't interfere with their sense of being money during the rest of the exercise. I like to think of being the guide off to the side of their shoulder, which helps create energy of support and guidance without interference. Wow, I am so happy we have unpacked the I Am Money visualization in such great detail. There is a lot that goes into leading a visualization, and happily, the way I've outlined this for you step by step, there's really no way you can go wrong. So have faith that you are awesome and have confidence in the exercise because it will do most of the work for you. Even the first time you deliver this, your practice client is going to get huge value out of it. In the next video, I'll reveal the companion Creating Your Conscious Money Compass handout. This is the tool that takes all the great information you gathered during the visualization and creates a highly personalized template for your client that they can then use in specific ways going forward in their life and in their career or business. So, are you ready for a proof question? The proof question is, what is critical to emphasize during the visualization questions section? Your assignment is to practice running through the visualization script out loud on your own to get familiar with the wording, the flow, and the feel of this very special exercise. After the next video, you'll put it all together and practice delivering the visualization with the companion Creating Your Conscious Money Compass handout. So enjoy getting familiar now with the visualization, and I will see you in the next video.